Hey everybody, welcome to StrangePlay. My name's Rick, and this is my review for Earthlock on the PlayStation 4. Originally released in September of 2016, I've seen Earthlock Festival of Magic a few times on the PlayStation Store, but I'd never picked it up despite the fact I'm a huge fan of Japanese style RPGs. As it turns out, waiting may have been the right choice, because roughly 6 months after its initial release, developer SnowCastle opted to stop pre-production on its sequel, instead switching its attention back to Festival of Magic, a game that in their own words wasn't quite there in terms of quality. Over the next few months, they fleshed out the entire game from the story to the gameplay and even the animation. Finally, they dropped the subtitle and re-released the game as Earthlock. And in an act that I don't think I have ever or will ever see from another developer, they released the update for free to everyone who had already bought Festival of Magic. The newly released version of Earthlock is a fantastic little RPG, heavily inspired by old school RPGs that Square Enix were known for in the 90s, and for the most part, it's a great homage to that era of gaming. It has a cute, simple visual style and an engaging turn-based combat system that gives depth to battles, a good amount of side quests and distractions to complete over varied environments, and a fantastic soundtrack. Where I found Earthlock to be lacking, however, was in the story and dialogue. The main story thread focuses on Amon, a scavenger from the desert town of Zaber who, along with his uncle, finds an ancient artifact in an old ruin. After his uncle is kidnapped by a mysterious organisation, it falls to Amon to find his uncle and keep the artifact safe. Along the way, he meets and joins up with several characters, each with their own missions and stories that all end up weaving together more out of circumstance than fate. It's not a bad story by any stretch of the imagination, it's just a little simple for my tastes. There is almost no conflict or resistance between the main cast of characters. Whenever Amon meets a new party member, there's a brief explanation about his missing uncle, the new character explains their mission, and that's it, everyone just agrees to help out. No one's mission seems particularly important, and they'll just kind of bumble along the path toward the endgame. Even major twists and important plot points are glanced over. More than once there'd be a big revelation, and the most the party could muster in response would be okay. Usually this kind of quick-paced conversation would be welcome in a genre that's known for lengthy dialogue sections, but the quick talking in simple language goes a long way to detract from any major character development, at least where Amon is concerned. A couple of the party members fare a little better, but I hope SnowCastle have the opportunity to hire some extra writers for the sequel to really flesh out what has the potential to be a lore-rich world. Earthlock's biggest strength by far is its turn-based combat system. Enemies can be seen walking around the overworld and dungeons, and once an enemy sees you, an exclamation mark appears above their head, and a countdown begins. Pressing circle before the countdown ends initiates a battle with a first strike advantage to the player. Fail to initiate battle, however, and the advantage goes to the enemy. Initiating battle instantly seems like the obvious solution, but aggroing multiple enemies and pulling them into the same battle will give you a massive EXP and reward boost, so there's a true risk-reward element to how you approach encounters. Each character has two stances, and whichever stance a party member is in determines which abilities they can use in that attack round. It is possible to switch stance during combat, but it uses up that character's turn. Combat menus are fantastically streamlined. The left analog stick is used to select between items and abilities, and each item and ability a character has assigned is mapped to one of the face buttons. R1 allows a player to change stance, and pressing L1 once the bond bar is full will make a character switch to a super stance for a short time, giving them access to more powerful attacks. Party members are paired up, and as well as gaining regular XP for defeating enemies, each pair also receives bond XP. Character pairs can be leveled up 5 times, and each level gives the pair access to helpful passive abilities in extra time when in super stance. However, these perks are only available when the two characters are paired together. For such simple ideas, both the pairing and stance systems add a decent level of strategy to combat and party creation. Working out which party members' abilities and pairings best complemented my playstyle added some much needed depth to what could have been just another standard turn-based battle system. Leveling up is done on the talent board, which contains 3 types of nodes: stat, perk, and ability. Stat talents increase a character's stats, perks unlock passive abilities, and ability talents unlock extra combat abilities. Adding a new talent to the board costs TP, which is acquired by leveling up or meeting other in-game requirements. Although simpler than similar systems in bigger budget games, the talent board is a great inclusion that allows for quite in-depth character customization, complementing both the aforementioned pairing and stance systems, allowing players to create unique custom parties out of the eventual 6 available party members. Another strength of these systems becomes apparent when tackling tough bosses. I'd occasionally feel like I'd hit a wall in the difficulty, but after spending a few minutes readjusting my party, and gaining a couple of levels, I found that all challenges could eventually be overcome. New abilities can be found as treasure or given as rewards after boss fights, but new talents can be crafted on Plumpet Island once the correct materials have been acquired. Plumpet Island is home to several crafting stations for items and equipment, as well as areas to decipher maps and tablets for treasure hunts. and a garden to grow plants used for crafting materials and ammunition. Once the ability to fast travel between save points on Plumpet Island became available, it became my main hub, and I spent a lot more time cultivating ammo plants and mixing potions than I'd care to admit. The world of Earthlock, Umbra, is small but varied. It consists of 5 main overworld areas, each full of side quests and hidden challenges, and a selection of small dungeons to explore. You can select any character from a radial menu to be the main character you control in game, and each character has his or her own ability that can be used to some effect while exploring. For example, the character Nart can pick plants that give the party temporary stat boosts, and Taika can dig for treasure. It's a nice idea, but I did find that switching back and forth between characters got a little jarring while trying to explore certain areas. Also, there's some light puzzle solving, which simply boils down to defeating special enemies and using Amon's Amri reactor to collect coloured energy, then using that energy on the corresponding switch. It isn't very taxing, but it keeps dungeons interesting. Overall, I enjoyed my 23+ hours playing Earthlock. There were a couple of areas and bosses where I felt a severe difficulty spike and admittedly lost my temper and had to walk away for a while. Fucking desert! But I found that most situations like that could be solved with a bit of levelling and some talent readjustment. And although I feel like the story and dialogue needed some work, I absolutely adore the combat and talent systems and can't wait to see how they evolve in the sequel. SnowCastle have the beginnings of what I hope will be a fantastic series, and I can't wait to see what comes next. If you're a fan of Japanese style RPGs, then I cannot recommend Earthlock enough. But what about you guys? Have you played it? If you have, what do you think? Please feel free to leave a comment below, or talk to us over at Twitter at StrangePlayUK, or join our Facebook group at facebook.com/StrangePlayUK. Also, if you like this video or like what we do on the channel, feel free to give us a like and subscribe. We do appreciate it. But until the next video, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.